projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking on Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, happy New Year, man. How you doing?
Happy New Year, buddy. Doing better now. Finally over the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Took a day or so, but
Yeah,
still
a
here.
few hours to process. Yeah, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's the goodest place to start as any, of course. The Rose Bowl, one of the college football playoff semifinals. We talked about how Michigan would beat our Tide, and they did exactly like we said. They used a stifling defense, disrupted
Yeah.
our offense, and made just enough plays. And
Yeah. They did.
uh, that's really what the story was. Is that defensive line really just blew up our offensive line.
Hmm.
Um, we just offense could never get in rhythm. Jalen Milroe looked like the whole team. The offense really looked like that Texas USF
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah. Everything.
More so, yeah.
Exactly. Everything just out of sync. And nothing really came together for what we needed. It was bits and pieces. You saw it, flashes, but yeah, not the consistency needed to
Mm-mm.
win in the national semifinal, unfortunately. And it kind of fit. You kind of get those feelings. It's gonna be a long day. I mean, after the Caleb Downs interception, but his foot was out of. He didn't replant
Oh.
his foot inbounds before the
Mm-hmm.
interception. You're like, man, it's gonna be that one of those type of days, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. It was like the weird tip pass and like
Yeah,
a lot of blown assignments on defense too.
it was.
Deontay Lawson didn't have a good game.
No, he didn't.
Not
He
surprised to
didn't.
see him coming back.
Right.
We'll get to portal
Not
stuff and draft stuff
right.
later, but
Yeah, I mean Malachi Moore didn't have a very good game either. He's coming back though, but some things unfinished there. But hey, I guess overall, I think this team overachieved. I mean, considering what people thought of us after the Texas game. I mean, of course, going into the season there was a lot of hype. Everybody jumped off the bandwagon after the Texas game. Kind of had to find ourselves a little bit. I mean, can't necessarily call it a failure. Of course, now we have that mindset, championship or bust. But hey, it was. It's one of those seasons. I think long term, you look at it now, it's disappointing, but I think we'll appreciate it long term because I mean, honestly, I mean, this team could have easily lost 4 or 5 games. I mean, and they, still made a playoff. Disappointing in there. I mean, we had many chances, could have won that game. But it is what it is at this point.
yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. It's just a really disappointing end to a really like fun season.
It was.
It
We
started out,
were,
real or horribly, like we said, that
yeah,
Texas loss and then USF game, and
right,
people a lot of talk like, oh, Saban needs to hang it up, and
yeah,
everyone's saying, oh, Alabama's going to lose 4 or 5 games, and people
hmm,
already counting us out the national title,
yeah,
and then they turned it around. They,
they
the
did,
comeback wins at A&M and against Tennessee, and
yeah,
then really that LSU game from then on. I guess really the second half of Tennessee from then on looked like a completely different team.
right,
Um, that offense just was running, and yeah, that's it. How am I trying to say here? It just seemed like, yeah, like I said earlier, they kind of reverted back to that September team, and Tommy Reese
right.
did not call a good game at all. It took him way too
Did
long to
not, did not,
adjust to the
yeah,
blitzes. I think I was asking online people. I was like, the slants have got to be there, right? Like, I
yeah,
don't understand why we didn't throw a slant, more screens, more
right.
just quick, really quick passes to
It just
try
seemed
to
like, yeah,
negate their pass
See-
rush. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it seemed like we kind of panicked. We got punched in the
Mm-hmm.
mouth early, and we just kind of, oh my goodness, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of panicked there. And then we, really got it together in the second half. A couple good drives. Would have liked to score that touchdown instead of the
Mm-hmm.
field goal. And then, unfortunately, that Jalen fumbled way after that. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
changed momentum completely. Because, I mean, I thought at that point, we're kind of driving, time's running. We're up,
Mm-hmm.
we're up You know,
Well,
if we score there,
like,
we're going up. You know, we're going up at least 10, possibly 14. You know, that's game
hmm
time. And
yeah, that was huge. Even though the defense turned around and stopped them,
yeah,
or I guess that was the missed field goal. Yeah,
right, yeah,
yeah, just any kind of score there would have been huge. It would have ran off the clock, would have made it a two
hmm
possession game. Um, and then just like we didn't get the bounces, like you mentioned the Caleb Downs
yeah,
interception that we thought we had on the first play. You know, if he's in
yeah.
bounds for that, who
I
knows?
think
Maybe
that
we
just
score a
who knows,
touchdown, and
right?
yeah,
And the
maybe we
momentum's
win by
completely
30. If
different.
uh
Yeah.
huh. That the very end of the game, the Michigan guy muffined the punt, and it if it just
Mm,
takes one more bounce into the end zone, Alabama gets a
yeah,
safety and
right.
wins the game in just the wildest way.
The lot of yeah, for sure. I mean,
That
lot
didn't
of
get.
craziness. You
Hmm.
know, both ways. I mean, they were missed. You know, the botched extra point, missed field goals. I
Hmm.
mean, so I mean, they gave us some things as well. And then, man, you know the most frustrating part is just it's still again, and you know it's not all on him, but man, Seth's snaps. Oh
Hmm.
my goodness, just frustrating. I mean, I understand there's mistakes, but dude, you're a senior. Like,
Hmm.
why is this still a problem? We're in January. Like, this should not be a problem. And it's been a problem all season. I mean, it got better in spurts, but I mean, even at the Auburn game, we saw some bad snaps. It's like, what is going on? Like, well, how is this still such an issue? You know?
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating thing is you have a month of bowl prep.
Hmm.
Time that Nick Saban usually uses, expertly. And
Yeah,
you would think
yeah,
one thing is just, Seth and Jalen getting out there and just reps after reps,
yeah,
like
yeah,
somebody working on their free throw shoot and just,
yeah,
100, just keep going, just shoot, shoot,
yeah.
shoot, shoot,
Because they
snap,
should.
snap, snap. Um, because yeah, it's a disappointing way, especially when you saw. I don't know if you saw that stat where someone said like over 50% of the snaps on the day were off target. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
just a
they should.
disappointing end.
Yeah, because you would think it's down to a science at that point of the season between a quarterback and the
Mm-hmm.
center. It's not like we switched, someone got hurt, and he's
Mm-mm.
coming in late. I mean, they've had this same setup the whole season. Like it should have been down to a science. I don't know where the disconnect was throughout the season, but I mean, it's frustrating. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you live and you learn, you get better from it. And overall, great entertaining season. I mean, for one thing you could say about this team, you can't say they didn't give effort because they worked their
Mm-hmm.
ass off.
Yeah.
That was the most frustrating point about last year's team. I thought they were I mean, they were a very talented team, but at times you just felt like they're kind of diva. They're a great team, but they're not. You don't know if they're 100% in. You're just
Mm-hmm.
like this team may not have been as talented. Of course, no Bryce, no Will, but I mean there was
Mm-hmm.
I don't know there seemed to be a more cohesiveness for the most part. They responded well together and they fought hard as a team. You couldn't say it wasn't due to effort. Never could question that. They
Mm-mm.
took two L's this year, but they rebounded. They fought hard together. They answered a lot of questions, overcame a lot of critics, and within the fan base and outside, and did what they into Georgia's streak for what that's worth. And hey, we're be back in the hunt again next year.
Yeah, exactly. Jalen probably comes in as a Heisman favorite
Hmm.
next year, and then he's going to have some competition with some incoming
Yeah.
freshmen and bench guys, red shirts from this
Hmm.
year. Hit that portal, see if we can get maybe another big time receiver, someone really. We kind of need a stud in that receiving court.
We do.
Um,
We do.
obviously center and offensive line is probably going to be the focus because
Yeah.
Seth hit the transfer portal. He's out to Ohio State.
Ohio State. I was like,
Um,
that's
yeah,
interesting. So you'll see Michigan
Jace,
again.
yeah, JC Latham's declaring for the draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, like we said, it's just disappointing into an otherwise a really fun season.
Yeah.
One of Nick Saban's better coaching jobs here. if
Hmm.
not his best. Turning
Right.
that team around again. That even before the loss to Texas in the USF game, people like national writers were picking Alabama to have 3 or 4 losses
Yeah, there were a
before the
lot.
season.
There were a lot
Yeah.
of doubts. I mean, a lot
Mhm.
of people pretty much said LSU,
Yeah, but
Georgia
instead
for
they went
sure.
out. Yeah, like you said, into Georgia's winning streak and in their, any talks of Georgia dynasty, you can put them to
Hmm.
bed now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just come and get it next year. See
Yeah.
who else declares for the draft. We'll get to that in a second.
All right.
Um, but yeah, a couple of notes I had too. Everyone calling this an instant classic. I disagree. This is a
Mm,
sloppy game. Both teams
it
just
was.
really ugly.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, it went to overtime and everything, but
hmm
yeah, overall, yeah, it was never any. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game at all.
No, I
It
think if
was.
you asked, yeah, I think if you asked Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh like a year down the line, they'd be like, "No, that was a horribly played game. We didn't
Yeah.
execute, made dumb
Yeah.
mistakes. Each.
Both
Um,
sides look very sloppy for the most part.
yeah, yeah, and Michigan took advantage. They were the team that
Yeah,
took
and
advantage of the mistakes.
their
Yeah,
defense definitely
capitalized.
lived up to the hype. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say, for the first time outside of Ohio State, I underestimated their athleticism. I can say that I can admit I
Mm-hmm.
underestimated Michigan's athleticism. The
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Ohio State's been known to follow that SEC system. Get the guys out the South with a lot of athletic talent. Michigan may not have as pretty numbers as far as their recruiting, but what they brought in and they definitely have some
Mhm.
athletes. They were staying with the wide receivers. We weren't blowing in it. I mean, we weren't getting out athlete. Usually when we play Big Ten teams, we out athlete them. That
Mhm.
wasn't the case. Yeah,
No.
so that was.
Um, no, yeah, like you said, their secondary held our guys in check.
Hmm.
That granted, Jalen didn't really have many chances to sit back
Right.
there and
Yeah.
unload a deep ball, but
Right. That
yeah,
had a
all
lot to
credit
do
to
with what the
Michigan.
defense did. Yeah, that
Yeah,
defense lived up to the hype for sure. The people
hmm
that they haven't really haven't played anybody. Ohio State's offense not nearly as good. Penn State's offense not nearly as good. They shut
hmm
them down, but for what it's worth, hey, they maybe it was a reason why that happened. And yeah, shout out
hmm
to the Wolverines. They had a great game plan. They stuck to what they've done, been successful all season, and should be a pretty interesting game come tomorrow night.
hmm yeah, and of course, well, actually, real quick before we get to the Sugar Bowl, another thing
Hmm.
going around this week, I saw a bunch of articles and sports writers saying that we should make the Rose Bowl the permanent national title game site.
Why?
No,
Yeah, I've
no,
seen that.
no.
Why? Why?
Look, yeah, we get it. The sunset's pretty. It is. It's really pretty.
That's nice, but
But guess what? The Rose Bowl had their chance to be part of the solution,
yeah,
not the problem,
and
and
they
they
didn't
chose to
want
be
to
the
be.
problem for decades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wanted to be the we're better, we're a better, more important bowl game because we're associated with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the tradition of the Rose Bowl, and we keep not gonna, we'll never switch times, and
hmm
we don't want the SEC out here. Or come on,
And that's my biggest thing that they just ignore is that for decades it was only Big
yeah,
Ten and Pac-10. And look,
yeah,
I watched the Rose Bowl every year growing up. It was something to
yeah.
do, but it wasn't as an Alabama fan and as if you're an East Coast or a Southern fan, you don't really care about the Rose Bowl in the way that they do. It's
I
just
mean, you watch it
another.
because there was a game at the
hmm
3:30 spot or whatever on New Year's Day. I mean, it
Yeah,
was the
it was
game.
the
But I was always more excited for the Sugar and the Orange Bowl personally. But that was
exactly.
all.
And then how many times during our lifetime has it actually impacted directly the national championship?
Yeah,
Particularly before the BCS. You can count
right
the
before.
USC Texas game, but that was part of the BCS, just a rotation.
Yeah,
Before
exactly.
that, what? Michigan in '97, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I guess Washington in '91 when they split with Colorado. I'm assuming they
Uh,
were in the row.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
then I don't know something in the '80s. We're not thinking of maybe, but
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
just
mean,
it, as much as it is a tradition and classic, it's not quite on the level
it's
that
not
these people
what.
make it out to be. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be. It's
Oh,
not. It's not what Omaha is to college baseball.
right. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not
Uh-huh.
exclusive. Other
Mm-mm.
places had excellent championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when
I
it's
think. Yeah.
there, I mean, if it's there, cool. If it's not there, it is what it is.
Yeah. And then,
Because I
by all
mean,
accounts, too, from people that've been to it, I've been to the stadium, but not for a game. It is
hmm
kind of a trash stadium. Like
I mean, it's
the
old. It's
facility
rinky
itself,
dink. It's
it's old. It's falling apart. It's
yeah,
really difficult to get to.
yeah.
Pasadena isn't exactly downtown LA, so
Mm.
you hold it there. Everything that you're doing to lead up to the game, all the
Yeah,
fanfare and
about 30
media
minutes
stuff.
away
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be at
in
least
LA.
with LA traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
so no, it's a novel concept, but no, like I said, the
I
Rose
don't
Bowl
know.
had their
Yeah,
chance. Yeah, no.
yeah.
Um, and then
Because
yeah, no, go ahead.
and then as we move to 12-team playoffs, I mean, honestly, do we watch when you're watching a championship game? Are you watching it for the game or are you watching for the stadium? We really don't care where it's played.
No,
We're watching for
no.
the game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I
Um,
mean,
yeah, it's not 1973
all
anymore,
right. Yeah, exactly.
and
Hugh
like
Jackson's
you
not
said
calling it.
exactly, and like you said too, that devalues the Sugar Bowl. Why shouldn't the Sugar Bowl be? Now, if you honestly came to me and said that only like the Rose, the Sugar, only those traditional big bowl games should host a title game, I could be
Then
like,
I
okay,
mean,
I could get
I
down with
can,
that.
I
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if that
Uh-huh.
if yeah, they said it's only going to be between the New Year's Six games. Oh,
Hmm.
hey, that's is what it is. I mean,
But
I couldn't argue against that.
But
Yeah,
the CFP doesn't want to do that. They want to take the highest bidder, and they're happy to put it in Tampa or, downtown LA or Houston, like this
yeah.
year, or Indianapolis a couple years
I
ago.
mean,
They
that's
don't care.
cool. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine if they do that as well. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, if you're either gonna need to go random spots every year like the Super Bowl, or associate with the New Year's Six games.
Hmm. Um, Sorry, I'm laughing here. I got Red Zone on mute on the TV, and their Chiefs are really celebrating a Chris Jones sack, and I'm guessing that means he hit
Had a
bonus,
bonus or
a
something.
bonus,
Yeah.
yeah, something.
I know
uh,
Jadavion Clowney had that sack yesterday. Got him the big
yeah, yeah,
bonus,
yeah.
750.
$750,000. Yeah.
Man, that's a
Yeah. Well,
hell
yeah.
of a
Not too
bonus.
bad for a yeah, yeah. Not too bad for a signing that a lot of people ragged on. But
Yeah.
one more thing, Alabama related, before we move on. A lot of, and I'll preface this with saying, of course, every team, every school has bad fans. We all know this. Alabama's bad fans are among the worst.
Yeah.
But y'all good Georgia fans, need to control the rest of y'all because there's a lot of Georgia folks up in Alabama's business this week, and I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea
Are
why.
they? Yeah.
Because I saw takes like, "Oh, this proves that Georgia should have been in the playoff." No, you shouldn't have. You lost the SEC title game to us.
You
Or
lost
no,
the SEC
yeah,
title game.
yeah.
Florida State is the only person who had any type of argument to be in the playoff.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Case simple point. It's Florida
Yeah.
State or Alabama. That's it. There's
My
no. Yeah.
my favorite dumb take was I saw one guy say that Georgia worries about winning championships, Alabama worries about beating Georgia.
No.
First of
Yeah.
all,
hmm
that's our line against Auburn. So don't even go there with that.
Georgia's
Second of
telling something
all,
else.
I was about to say exactly why are y'all worried about us? Like if you are the true measure, if you think you're the measuring stick now, then you don't worry about other schools. But
Mm-mm.
it seems like you're still worried about us. And then third,
Yeah.
just to put it to rest again, we've talked about it before.
hmm
Everyone, not just Georgia fans, but writers, neutral fans, everyone needs to calm down with this. Georgia's building the next Alabama dynasty because, again, Nick Saban has done something that's never been done before in college football.
hmm
So
Yeah.
to act like some other school is going to do that immediately after uh, Alabama just finished doing it is kind of crazy.
hmm
That's unprecedented. But
Yeah.
two,
Exactly.
do you know how I know that Alabama is still the measuring stick? It's because Everyone still celebrates when we lose a game.
Oh
Everyone,
yeah, but
not
they
just
acted
our
like
rival fans. Everyone.
everybody was
Yeah.
so excited when Michigan beat us.
The only two fan bases that were upset at the result of that game were Alabama fans, obviously, and Ohio State fans,
Yeah,
and that's it.
that
Yeah,
was it. Yeah,
maybe Michigan State fans, but they don't.
yeah.
They have their own
They
troubles
don't
to worry
really.
about.
Yeah, they're not too
Yeah,
worried. I don't think they have
but
much to
yeah,
say.
yeah. Until that day comes when everyone's celebrating Georgia losses, when everyone
Yeah,
hates Georgia, y'all just need
and
to
not
calm
every,
down.
and nobody actually, nobody really hates Georgia. They haven't gotten to that
Uh.
level yet. If they had
No. No.
three-peated, yeah, you would start seeing that come about.
Yeah.
But no
Maybe
one was
even
really
then.
up. Yeah, but nobody last year when they beat TCU was like, we hate Georgia.
Mm-mm.
It was
No.
more, why is TCU here? I mean,
Yeah.
that was the
Exactly.
biggest thing. Why was TCU in that game?
Yeah, and anybody rooting against Georgia last year is because it was an underdog. Of course, you're going to root
Right,
for TCU
right.
over. But
But
yeah, I just want to say that
yeah,
I saw, like I said, I saw a lot of.
yeah, there was I've seen a lot. I mean, I'm in a lot of college football, some groups on Facebook, some Southeastern Conference groups, and
Hmm.
man, yeah, these Georgia fans have been. Like I saw something that said in the last 3 years we've had two losses. Alabama had two losses in the last 3 years. And
Hmm.
then I said on the post, who were those two losses you've had in the last 3 years?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, you have to tell the whole story. It's been
Yeah.
impressive what you guys have done. I mean, that can't be. I mean,
Hmm.
that can't be. We can. That can't be debated. It's been an impressive run. You came within a half of um, possible chance of a three-peat. You didn't do it.
Hmm.
You're still an excellent team. You'll be back in the hunt this year. You're not
Hmm.
us yet. We're not your rival. Why worry about us so much? If you
Yeah.
guys are the standard as they claim, like I don't see too many Georgia fans. You can't see a Georgia post without some mention of Alabama. It's funny.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, yeah. Just calm down and enjoy
Yeah,
what you have, and we'll see you in
yeah,
September in Tuscaloosa.
right. Exactly.
Um,
We'll go
But
from
yeah,
there.
moving on. Sugar Bowl, exactly the game we thought it would be.
Hmm.
High scoring, back and forth. Michael Penix is just that dude, just
Wow.
dropping dimes all night long.
Yeah.
Um, Texas kind of jumped out. Then Washington took the lead, and then took a big
Yeah.
lead. It looked like Washington might blow them out,
I thought they're gonna
and
roll them. Texas came
mhm,
back.
and then just slowly,
Hmm.
Washington let him back in. Kind of a weird thing at the end. Washington was going to run out the clock, and then their back got injured, which forced an injury timeout, which gave Texas
Yeah, that
time.
was.
Texas goes right down the field, and then in my notes, I got it made me feel better that Sark also had really bad play calling at the end of that game. Those
Hmm.
choices for their throws in the end zone were basically just fades, and Washington was ready for it. They got burnt by it earlier in the game, but down at the end,
Hmm.
they were ready for him. And
They were ready. Yeah.
mhm. But a good game. Like I said, Michael Penix is just unbelievable.
He was.
He's just
Yeah.
every game he raises his draft stock.
He does. And
Mhm.
you know, if he didn't have those two ACL tears, I mean, and that's his biggest concern is his stability. But you know, he
Mhm.
stayed healthy the last 2 years there in Seattle. You know, it's just a matter of him staying healthy. But if he was maybe a little bit younger and didn't have those injuries, I think he very well could argue against Caleb Williams as the best quarterback in the draft.
Mhm. No, yeah. I think he's. I don't know. NFL teams are weird. You mentioned the knees, and he's a little undersized. Not much to me.
Hmm.
Not in today's
Yeah,
game, anyway.
not noticeable. I mean, it's not
Uh.
anything crazy.
I think he could be a mid to late first round pick. I would
Oh
think.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
if you assume that Williams and Drake May are your first two off the board, I think Jaden Daniels is probably your third QB off the
Right.
board. I don't
Hmm.
see why Michael Penix isn't the fourth.
Yeah. And then I guess it also depends on the team. Well, it depends how you
Yeah,
feel about
exactly.
them,
Yeah.
how they interview with you, how that go,
Mhm.
whole process goes.
Yeah, he
Honestly,
seemed.
maybe it's past things. I'm not sold on Drake May. Ah,
Mm,
I mean, he
uh,
showed the excellence of time. Maybe it's past Carolina quarterbacks in the league. I don't know, but I'm not
mhm.
I'm not sold that he's a. if I'm looking for the franchise guy, I don't know if I'm sold that he's my franchise guy. I don't know.
Mm-mm. Um, no, yeah. He might Penix might be a perfect guy to sit behind a starter for a year or two
Hmm.
and then take over. The
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers route. Um, but as far as the game, like I said, it was an outstanding game. Offensive
right.
shootout. Quinn Ewers played a hell of a game too.
He did.
We almost saw Arch, almost had an Arch Manning sighting. Looked like Ewers almost got hurt,
Yeah.
but he toughed it out, stayed in. Like I said, it was some questionable play calling from Sark at the end there, but also credit to the
Hmm.
Washington defense. They do what they did all year, which is
Yeah.
bend and bend
Bend but
and
don't
bend and
break.
bend, but don't
But
break.
not. Yeah. It got down there, got the one last one play after the time ran out originally. They got one more second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen that with Texas in the past, and I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about the '09 Big 12 title game. Got the
Mm-hmm.
mystery second back, but hey, Washington held on, and for one thing, everybody was saying going into that game how Texas was going to bully them up front, but and it was a reason why Washington won that Best Offensive Line of the Year award. I mean, they were
Mm-hmm.
kind of undersized, but they definitely held their own. Mike, Mike P had plenty of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that 2009 because after that game, I actually was thinking about that, and I was like, man,
Mhm.
what if they didn't get that second and Nebraska won? And
What
I
would
was
that have
trying to.
done?
Well, that's exactly what I went and looked. I was like, because that if you remember that year, there were five teams that finished the regular season unbeaten. So
Hmm.
Alabama and Florida obviously met in the SEC title game.
Right.
Boise State, the Mountain West representative, TCU finished
TCU was on
unbeaten
it.
out of the WAC. I think still back then
Yeah.
maybe.
Because
And
they played
then
Boise State in the bowl game that year, if I remember right.
yeah, they did. They played a good Fiesta Bowl. I think a close
Hmm.
Boise State win, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And then the team that, after looking at the BCS rankings and all, that probably would have jumped up to number two, undefeated Big East champion
Cincinnati,
Cincinnati,
huh? Who got
led
drugged
by
by
Brian
Florida.
Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah. They got
led
drugged in the
by
Sugar
Brian
Bowl.
Kelly. Yeah. Who, funny enough, like during that bowl season, actually is when he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah,
So
it was, wasn't it?
if that second doesn't get put on or Texas misses the kick or whatever,
That changes
um,
history. Because, yeah,
yeah,
Brian
maybe
Kelly's
Brian.
not leaving.
Uh-uh.
You wouldn't leave before a national title game, right?
Mm-mm,
You're not.
no, no, you stick there. That
Yeah.
maybe that saves the Big East for another couple years. Maybe that, or maybe
Interesting.
Cincinnati gets an invite to the ACC.
Right. Yeah.
That's an
That
interesting
point, that's
sliding.
a
Yeah.
At that point, the ACC was still somewhat in business. I mean, they weren't dead.
Yeah. No, they were just starting to pick off some of those
Yeah.
Big East teams. I think Miami and Virginia Tech had been there for about 5 6 years by then, but yeah, just
Hmm.
an interesting thing I looked up. But
Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
moving to tomorrow, or I guess tonight, as you listen to this, as it'll be
Hmm.
Monday, Washington versus Michigan in national title game. I think you said something there that I think is going to be the key matchup is Washington. They're great offensive line, although undersized. How do they hold up against that really tenacious Michigan front?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, I think that's obviously the story of that game is can Michigan's defense um, can they contain Justin Fields took a nasty hit just now. I don't know how that wasn't flagged either. Um,
Hmm.
can Michigan's defense contain those Washington receivers and Michael
Yeah.
Penix in that passing game? Is Washington's running back Johnson? I don't know. I haven't seen anything
I
on his. Is
think
he going to be
he's.
able to play?
I thought I saw he was gonna play, but
Well, try to play, but yeah, how
yeah.
limited might
How
he be?
effective is it? Right.
And then what's that Michigan offense versus that Washington defense going to look like? Can Michigan
Hmm.
take advantage of,
Yeah.
like we said, Washington's defense is not a weak unit, but they're also not the strongest. So,
Yeah. They're gonna
but
they're gonna give
they
up
make
some
plays when it
yards.
counts. So yeah.
Right. And they're an opportunistic defense, I would say. They get some key interceptions, some turnovers. They fly around. Yeah, but I mean they'll give up some yards to you.
Hmm.
It's just that they they shut you down at the right time. They do that well.
Yeah. I will say this: as far as like predicting, I have honestly no idea how this game is going to go, which makes it a must-see game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to
I could
think.
see
I
anything.
mean,
I could see a close Michigan win. I could see a close Washington win. I
hmm
could see a
you
defensive
see a blow.
struggle, maybe.
Yeah, you could. This could go so many different ways.
Yeah, I
'Cause I
could see
mean,
a blowout for either Michigan just kind of overpowers them and wins by like
hmm
27-3.
hmm
Washington just comes out and they're too much and they win like 38
yeah,
to 13.
yeah,
I don't. The only thing I maybe can't see is a shootout, but who knows? Maybe.
yeah. I don't see it being necessarily a shootout because
Hmm.
if it comes in the shootout, man, that Washington wide receiver core is something else.
Hmm. So
I
good.
mean, Mike is always on the money, and
Hmm.
did that wide receiver core, top level, a lot of NFL
Hmm.
talent there. I mean, they're gonna put up numbers. You don't want to shoot out with them. That's just something you
Yeah.
don't want.
Uh-huh. That's
Yeah,
exactly the key for Michigan's, like we mentioned, their front line.
they're
If
gonna
they
have to
can, they got
slow it
to
down.
disrupt time and they got to slow it
Hmm
down. But those receivers, it almost doesn't matter how good a coverage you have because Michael Penix
Hmm.
is going to put it exactly where it needs to
Exactly where he
be.
needs to go. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's going to be
Um,
about getting him up front. They're going to have to get after, get some early sacks, maybe rattle him a little bit, get after him.
hmm.
But, he's a seasoned veteran. I mean, he's not going to make mistakes for the most
Mm-mm.
part. I mean, he's seen everything. Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, it could go many different ways. Two very different in styles,
Hmm.
how they got here. Much more flash with Washington, but still a tough team. But the old school Michigan physical team. They pass when they need to, but more known for their power, their great running game, great
Hmm.
defense. Yeah, uh, you know, who knows? But I'm gonna stick with what I'm stuck with. Other than if we had played them,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go Washington. Washington in 20, something similar to our score. I would say Washington 27-20. Um,
Hmm.
I think that they're just a little. We're gonna be a little too much there, but yeah, nothing would really shock me in this game. But I think it is gonna be a good game. I'd be shocked. I guess I'd be the one shot. I'd be shocked if it's not a good game.
Hmm. Yeah. I have honestly no idea. In close games like this, I tend to lean towards the team that has the better quarterback. So I guess I would say
Hmm
Washington, but like I said, I can see anything happening in this
Yeah,
game. So,
it
um,
should be must see TV. I mean,
mhm,
I guess the probably the most disappointed people is the city of Houston because even though there's still it's national title, they'll have a lot of people
mhm.
just not having Texas there. Can you imagine?
Oh
just
yeah,
the just the atmosphere of Texas was pretty much
mhm.
playing a couple of hours away from Austin. Wow,
Yeah.
then
That
that would
I
have been
think maybe
ridiculous.
maybe the city of Houston would have preferred a Texas. I guess it didn't matter between
Didn't
Alabama and
matter who.
Michigan.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it would have been, but because Washington they'll travel, but that's an expensive trip. I mean
Mhm.
you've already traveled. I would assume if you travel to New Orleans,
Mhm.
hopefully you had enough money to stay down around that area.
Yeah.
That you didn't go
Uh-huh.
all the way back home. Come all the way back because man, that is pricey.
Mhm. And
Hopefully you had
yeah,
enough time off.
this is why, once again, they really just with the new playoff format, screw making the bowls sites. Just have the national title game in a neutral site and everything else on campus. It'd be so much better.
hmm
Um,
For sure.
but yeah, that should do it for on the field stuff. FCS title game was today, Sunday. South
hmm
Dakota State Jackrabbits
Rolled
whooped
them.
up on Montana. Yeah, their second straight title, and I think no, just second straight. They made another
hmm
appearance, but lost to Sam Houston a few years ago.
Yeah, they get
But
19 of yeah.
as we know, that FCS title usually rolls through one of the Dakotas. So
Seems like it
um,
stays up there. They've
yeah,
kind of they've kind of replaced North Dakota State as the powerhouse of the
mm-hmm,
FCS, you could say. But
yeah. Transfer portal news. Kind of the big one this week. A couple big ones. Cam Ward has actually declared for the draft instead of
Mm,
transferring somewhere. Um, I guess we'll see if that sticks. That's another interesting quarterback name to throw
that is
into that.
interesting.
Of
Yeah,
course, they
I
do.
mean,
Do still have time to pull out and find another school, but that's an
hmm
interesting one.
yeah, I mean, he was in the Cardinal Ward for what 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State for 2 years. I mean, some
Mm-hmm.
point you got to give it a go at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe some of it just had to do with what he saw with the bowl games. I mean, he saw Miami, he saw Florida State. Eh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? I think if you got him, you late on Friday in the draft, somewhere in the third round, or on Saturday. He's maybe a little project, but if you had time and he's just there, at worst case scenario, that's an excellent backup option. Someone's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get a steal, I think, when you get him in the draft. If that's what he's gonna stay with. But,
Yeah, absolutely. One of the schools you mentioned, Florida State, they were in for Cam Ward. They have
hmm
DJU. Not
DJU,
surprising.
that's
That was
interesting.
uh huh. That
I
was
mean,
his name was mentioned going there a lot. If it wasn't Cam Ward,
hmm
he gets another chance at a big time school. After leaving Clemson for Oregon State, he now goes to what will be the reigning ACC champs.
hmm
In a program that will probably be hungry next year because they felt slighted as they
hmm
should by this year's playoff
Oh yeah,
committee.
they should definitely.
Um,
Yeah, got it.
but yeah,
But that'll be interesting. That's it's funny because I've seen plenty of Florida State fans talk a lot of trash about EJU as they should have when he was at the rival at Clemson, and now
hmm
that's your guy. It's kind of funny watching how the transfer portal does now. And guys that you
hmm
once may have hated and disliked or talked a lot of trash about are now your guy.
hmm
So that's kind of funny there.
yeah. The other big one, Will Howard, Kansas State
Mm,
quarterback, is going to
wow,
Ohio
that was
State.
crazy. That was,
That's
man, shocker.
it was
I
that
mean,
kind of
it's
came out of nowhere, but that's a winner. He is a
oh
winner.
yeah,
Going to a program where he'll be surrounded by a hell of a lot more talent at Ohio
wow.
State than Kansas State.
Oh yeah.
Um, so
I
that's
mean,
that's something to watch for
that
next year.
is
That's an interesting addition
that
there.
is very interesting because it seemed like he was a lock for USC. I mean, it died down. Wasn't any real Will Howard talk because even though he hadn't necessarily signed, he was
hmm
ever since thought a lock for USC. Most players had
hmm
99%. Yeah, but that is big pickup for the Buckeyes. Just because I mean he's a talented guy. I mean he won the Big 12 last year. Had him, was in consideration this year. Um, had a decent season there. Yeah, but the time when he'll have it, Ohio State triple what triple what he ever had at K State for sure.
hmm Um, but yeah, then locally here with Alabama, our boy Roydell Williams is entering the portal. Not surprising there. It's a
hmm
crowded running back room. Jace
Yeah,
McClellan is thought to go ahead. He's going to go to the draft, but he has not announced anything officially yet. And
hmm
then you got Jam Miller and uh, um, Justice Haynes behind him. Got some
yeah,
freshmen coming in. There's a little bit of the guy from Ole Miss, Judkins. He's an Alabama native.
yeah. There's a
Um,
lot of talk about him coming.
uh
Who knows?
That's something to watch out for. Like we said, Alabama obviously has other places they probably want to address before.
Yeah, because the running back is we
Mm-hmm.
got a stacked running back room.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really our biggest concern as of right now. I mean, if we're
Uh,
able to get Judkins, hey,
mm-hmm.
more.
Yeah, I'll
But I
take him.
will
Yeah.
say, yeah, definitely take him. But I've heard, I mean, and just from rumblings and some Ole Miss fans that things didn't exactly go pretty at the end of his time in Oxford. So,
Hmm. Interesting.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. And then as far as the draft goes,
Mm-hmm.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, Dallas Turner,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Braswell, and J.C. Latham all are
All
Alabama guys that
guys.
have officially declared.
Those are all guys I thought for sure would be going. No
Hmm.
real shocks
Yeah.
there, guys. I've been shocked more if any of them stayed than anything. Like,
Yeah, you might have hoped that Terrion Arnold might have stayed, but with the season
yeah,
he had, not
his
surprising at all that
stock is
he's.
not going to
Yeah.
get much higher than what he. I mean,
Mm-mm.
and honestly, some draft boards, he's actually the top Alabama cornerback. Like
Mm-hmm.
people have him
Over
above
Kool-Aid,
Kool
yeah.
Aid. Yeah, just for
I tell you what, though, that's all five of those guys could be first round picks.
oh yeah, for
Braswell, if
Braswell
any of
did a
them may
heck of a
be the.
job
Yeah.
building his draft stock this past year because he took his
Mm-hmm.
stock to a different level this year.
Yeah. So as far as the portal and recruiting and all that goes, it looks like Alabama's definitely going to focus on the offensive line and then maybe edge rusher.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Malachi Moore officially returning. Lawson officially returning from the linebacking core.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of a little uh, what we know. Um, Another interesting one, Talia Tungavailoa, Tua's little brother,
Hmm.
entered the portal and is petitioning the NCAA for a 6th year of eligibility.
Good luck with
Um,
that. That's the
yeah, yeah,
NCAA doesn't
exactly.
care
Who knows?
because what does it come down to? He came in and the
He
Alabama
played
game,
like 4 snaps
two plays,
and yeah, two
couple to
plays.
close out the Mississippi State game in 19 or something in honor of his
Yeah,
brother, and and that
exactly. Yeah.
was his fifth game or something. So he doesn't get that extra redshirt year. It's like wow,
Hmm.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Who knows how that plays out? I would say get ready for the draft, my guy, because the NCAA doesn't
Hmm.
care.
Yeah. That would. Yeah. That would be my thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that should do it for our college talk for the week. Um, yeah, I don't see anything else. Like we said, we're waiting for the game, the title
Hmm.
game, and then we'll see who goes to the draft, who the rest of the transfer portal fallings, and then of
Hmm.
course, I guess the one big possible domino out there for all season news too is it does Jim Harbaugh leave after this season for the NFL?
Yeah,
Because
that's a
I
very
don't know if you
probable
saw that.
thing.
Did you? I don't even know if we talked about this last week or if this was this week I saw it, but there's rumors swirling that if he does indeed go to the NFL, Michigan is going to target Brian Kelly, who
I
reports are
saw that.
saying that he's not a fit at LSU, which shocker. Um,
Imagine that.
yeah,
I,
that
I
talk about some
don't.
dominoes. That would be some
Yeah,
big time dominoes.
that'd be wild.
Hmm.
Because you would think, I mean, you would think fits their culture better. He seems like a real Midwest guy, Brian Kelly.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, coming from Notre Dame, I don't know, seems more of a guy fit for that. But then at that point, does Michigan just bring up their guys that have been there? Who, I mean, they've got a lot of coaching experience, the last head coach
Hmm.
experience for the last 2 years.
Yeah,
Do you just keep everything intact? I mean, it's there, but is that a long-term solution? Who knows?
yeah. But yeah, that's just something to look out for.
Yeah,
Uh,
because Harbaugh was making waves again, talking about you mentioned players getting paid, getting money, and he had something the other day that came out, and I was like, man, that's not what the NCAA likes to hear, Jim. They're coming back at you. You're a target because he was talking about people, getting paid and, um,
hmm.
you know, yeah, he is definitely. If anything, no matter how you feel about Jim Harbaugh as far as on field, off the field, man, he's definitely a champion for the players, and I like that about him.
Hmm. Hmm. Moving to the NFL, his brother had a big week last week,
He
last
did
Sunday
huge
after
week,
we got
yeah.
off. The Ravens, I think as we were talking about it, it was the first half when we were recording last week, and we mentioned it.
Hmm.
Miami was having no problem moving the ball. Well, the Ravens adjusted, And then
Oh, did they?
Lamar put up a perfect passer rating game
My goodness.
for the second time in his career. The first time he did it was
Hmm.
against the Dolphins. um, so just
No comeback.
crazy.
No comeback. His bat like
No,
last year.
yeah,
There was no comeback
no
this year.
comeback like last year. Yeah, the Ravens put them down with prejudice,
Mm-hmm.
clinched the first round bye, sat pretty much half their team yesterday. The Steelers did win, but it was maybe the first time ever the Ravens Steelers matchup didn't mean anything to at least the Ravens.
Not the Ravens,
Um,
but
no, the Steelers,
yeah,
yeah.
but that was a big win for the Steelers because they got a little help today and they're in the playoff.
Mm-hmm. Which is where we'll transition. Another thing from last week, we left. Uh, when we stopped recording, Philadelphia had a pretty comfortable lead over the
Mm.
Cardinals.
Yeah, they
And
did.
then I didn't even check on that game until later, and I realized the Cardinals came back, which put your
And one.
Cowboys in
Yeah,
prime position to clinch the East, which they will do today because they are
yeah.
blowing Washington out,
We're
and
blowing
Philly is losing.
Washington out. Yeah.
Yeah, and Philly is
All we had
losing
to
to
do
the
was,
Giants.
yeah. And, honestly, going into today, it kind of
Hmm.
was a little bit worried only because all we had to do was beat Washington. But in a rivalry game, sometimes it's always easier said than done. All you gotta
Hmm.
do is beat them, and you're the division champ. More importantly, it would give us, should we win next week, give us a second home game as well. So technically, we
Hmm.
wouldn't have to go unless we play San Francisco and NFC title game. Long way down the road still, but
Hmm.
possibly a two home games is always a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like as it goes right now to be in the NFC, San Fran gets the 1 seed in the bye. You got
Hmm.
Detroit in the 2 spot. Um,
Now we're gonna be in the two spot.
oh, that's true. No, yeah, Dallas would
Now
take it
they
over
win.
because of the win
Yeah.
over them last. Yeah, that
Hmm.
win over them
Yeah.
last week. So
So
Dallas
we'd
would
be in
move
the
up to
two.
2.
Yeah.
Detroit would be 3. Tampa Bay by the skin of their teeth today. Um, they clinched it south, so they'll be the 4 seed.
Hmm.
Philly will be the 5 seed.
Yeah.
So there's your present for winning the South, Tampa Bay. Although, I mean, with how Philly's
Hey,
played the last month or so,
Philly,
oof,
the last month they've been a completely different team.
they've
Like
been a
their
wreck,
defense is,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
the defense isn't what they were. They had the injury to that safety,
Hmm.
Gardner, and it hadn't been the same since. And they're, yeah,
Uh,
they other than that comeback win again on Christmas against the Giants, they've looked pretty bad. And
yeah,
even
and
then,
they're
they didn't
getting
look good. That, yeah, getting beat
no,
pretty
and
handily by that same Giants today. So,
yeah, they're losing. They're down 14 with about 9 minutes left in that game right now, and it doesn't look
hmm.
like they're going to come back.
No.
Um, One interesting thing to watch as we watch the end of these games here. New Orleans won today. They needed a Tampa Bay loss to Carolina to win a division. They didn't get that, but they could still get that last wild card spot if Green Bay and Seattle lose. And right now, Seattle is losing to the Cardinals with under
Hmm.
10 to go in the game. And Green Bay is up 1 score on the Bears with a
On the
2 minute
Bears,
warning. Green Bay does have the ball, so it'll take a lot there, but
who
um,
knows? Yeah,
yeah, some things could happen. So,
yeah, but that's
and the
crazy
A,
though that the Packers, who thought, that I had no faith that the Packers would be a playoff team this year.
mm-mm,
So,
but they're
kudos to
gonna,
them.
yeah, it looks like they'll be traveling to Dallas next week. Um, and then over in the AFC, we mentioned the Ravens clinched the first in the bye.
Hmm.
The Dolphins and Bills play tonight. Winner gets that division and the second seed, I
Hmm.
think. The Chiefs right now are playing the Chargers. They have a lead, but the Chargers have the ball and are driving.
Hmm.
I'm not sure who would win the tiebreaker between if Buffalo beats Miami and KC wins. They're both even on record. Buffalo beat them earlier this year, right?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so Buffalo would, I think, jump to the 2 seed.
And
Um,
that's huge. That is huge
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
going to Buffalo in January is nasty, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
hell of an atmosphere anytime. I mean, that fan base is something else.
Mm-hmm.
They
Especially
give
in
quite the
they're
home.
they're a hot team. They've
Yeah.
some folks were counting them out a few weeks ago, and they've really played a
Hmm.
good December.
They have.
Houston clinched the AFC South today. Needed some help, but they got it. Jacksonville choked against the Titans.
So,
Um, Houston won a good game yesterday against Indy. D'Amico Ryans has got to be, to me, he's the coach of the year. I know a lot of people. I think Stefanski from
undoubtedly.
Cleveland is the favorite, but I don't get that because they were predicted to be a playoff team before the year.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at. I mean, they were literally the number two team in the draft last year, meaning that they were
mhm,
trash. There's no expectations coming in. Yes, it's not the greatest division, but you went out on your first
mhm.
year as a head coach in the
Period. Yeah.
NFL. Never been a head coach anywhere, college, pro, and you take a team to the playoff in your first year. And not only that, you win the division that Jacksonville was supposed to run away with.
Hmm.
Just an excellent
Yeah.
job.
And we all knew Cleveland had, before the year, we said Cleveland had the best defense, and that proved true.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's a big shocker to me that or that Cleveland is in the playoffs. I think that the job D'Amico Ryans did is much better. You can
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about all the quarterbacks Cleveland used. Well, it doesn't really matter to me. That's their dumbass fault for signing Deshaun Watson in the first place. Good for
Yeah.
Joe
That's,
Flacco, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's a cool story and all, but yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have. I
no.
mean, you
But
got lucky that Flacco is on a
mm-hmm,
different level than anybody
mm-hmm,
expected him to be. You guys didn't even expect him to be at the level that he's
mm-mm,
been. Let's be honest here. Like, no one
yeah,
thought that it was the. People just saw. I know Cleveland just saw that this guy is not going to necessarily lose this game.
mm-hmm.
And he took it to a
And
different level that no one saw going to. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. To me, the bigger loss for them was losing Nick Chubb in the first week.
Oh, yeah. Huge loss.
But yeah, so we'll have Baltimore as a 1 seed, either Miami or Buffalo as a 2 seed,
Hmm.
KC as the 3 seed, Houston as the 4 seed. They will host Cleveland, so there's a matchup of your two
Mm.
Coach of the Year candidates. The 6 seed, I believe, will be the loser of Miami Buffalo.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think Pittsburgh holds a tiebreak over either of them, and then
No, I
Pittsburgh will
don't
be
think
your
so.
7 seed traveling to either
Jeez.
Miami or Buffalo.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, there's a couple of tasty potential. I think that Houston Texans game that'll be interesting.
That'd be an
Um,
interesting one.
KC hosting either Miami or Buffalo is a really interesting matchup. And then you kind of seeing that kind of, I don't want to call them fully rejuvenated Pittsburgh offense. When you're trotting Mason Randolph out as QB, but
Yeah,
they certainly have played much better the past few weeks.
they have.
Um,
That they have, but still, they're not. It's just amazing that Mike Tomlin still finds a way to get above
mhm,
500, still makes the play. He still never had a losing season in the NFL.
mhm.
That's just amazing in itself. The fact
Yeah,
that
I
they're
think.
in the playoffs this year with how bad that offense has been for most of the season, there's no consistency at all.
Mm,
There's really not a person that I would want even as a backup quarterback on that team.
mm-mm,
If you want to be
mm-mm.
honest, like
No, and that's a interesting thought because the Dolphins have kind of struggled lately. Obviously,
yeah,
that blowout loss last week. There's
mm-hmm.
going to be no Raheem Mostert, no Jalen Waddle tonight.
Mm.
So
And they're kind of falling into it. They're there, but they're
hmm
not going into playoffs how you would hope. And they're,
hmm
if you're, I'm actually gonna be shocked, even though it's a home game. If they win tonight, I'd be shocked because I think just
hmm
the momentum is Buffalo is coming in and feeling like, hey, and I think with Buffalo, even when they lose, they don't necessarily lose confidence. They just lose
mm
games and move on to the next. They still
yeah,
seem to have a certain swagger, a certain, hey, we're still a great team. We may not have won, but we know we can turn it on and do this. Miami, on the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, you always wonder. They
Mm-hmm.
take losses. You start seeing heads hang a little bit. Uh, they
Yeah,
don't. They're kind of a front runner. When it's good, it's good. But when it shit hits the fan, they're kind of fall off pretty quickly. There's not really a certain toughness that you need to be a great NFL team.
yeah, and it's an interesting situation going into tonight because I feel like they need the win in that home game more than Buffalo does. Buffalo's not scared to go on the road,
No,
but Miami having to travel to Kansas City in a potential
that's
cold
not that good.
snow, that's not good for them. But
Cause
if they can
yeah,
they can
cause
get those couple games in
mhm,
Miami, you know.
that's huge. Because
Mhm.
next weekend, cause here, Kansas City is about 2.5 hours from Omaha, so basically the same type of weather. It's
Mhm.
gonna be like -5 here next weekend. Not not friendly for Miami at all. It's
No.
not what you want to be at. That
No.
affects Buffalo not at all. And
Mm-mm.
if anything, Buffalo, first of all, has hung with Kansas City and should have beat Kansas City a couple times in the playoffs with
Mhm.
a great Kansas City offense with Tyreek. They're not scared of this Kansas City team at all.
Mm-mm.
Let's be
No, not
honest.
at all. Um
So
as
yeah,
we were talking, Green Bay did make it official. They will be in the playoffs. So all of the playoff teams are set now. We're just waiting
hmm,
on
for the seeding
your Cowboys
come
to
up.
officially win and clinch a division.
Hmm.
And obviously, like we said, tonight's game with Miami and Buffalo.
Buffalo.
But yeah, that creates an interesting chain effect. So if Buffalo does win tonight, they're 2 seed. Miami goes 6. Uh, if Miami somehow wins,
Hmm.
but they're still struggling, that Pittsburgh Miami game, that could be. I don't know. On the one hand, you think, well, Pittsburgh doesn't have the offense and Miami being at home. But you never know. And I think a lot of people are talking about, oh, there's potential for Joe Flacco to play against the Ravens. There's also a little bit of potential for a Steelers Ravens playoff game. And that,
Hmm.
as we know,
That
that's
would be
always, I
that
would
would that
throw
would.
up the moment is announced because I hate that. I hate it so much. But
Uh,
I would feel more confident this year than in past
hmm.
versions of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Despite the two losses,
You would think so,
yeah,
right? You
I
would
would think
think
so.
so.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
Pittsburgh is that for whatever reason. I know you don't want to hear that, but they for some reason have you guys' number.
they do. They have
So
won 7 of the last 8 matchups. I think.
many times they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
weird stuff happens in that game. And
no, yeah. Like I said, we can throw away yesterday's result. The Ravens were just,
yeah,
like I
that
said, they
that
played
was
the B
just
team,
they were there because they had to be there. It was
but
like
they
the
lost
Marshawn
it.
Lynch. You know why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here because my contract said so. Exactly.
Yeah.
If the Ravens could have forfeited that game, they probably would have been like, yeah, sure, whatever, take it. Um,
Yeah.
and also, I am definitely agreeance with John Harbaugh sitting Lamar and all those guys.
Oh,
There's
for
no,
sure. Well,
especially with
there's no
especially with
reason.
the weather yesterday, no reason at
There's
all to
no
risk him.
reason at all.
Uh,
There was
no,
no point of even worrying about yesterday. It's set.
no.
You get ready for you. The main thing, you just get ready to go.
Hmm.
You have that extra week to get as healthy as possible. I guess main
Hmm.
thing I guess sometimes you worry about, with the extra week off. There's always a debate: does that help or hurt? Who knows?
Hmm.
It really just depends on the season and the team.
Hmm.
We've seen mixed results with that. We've seen teams do fine. We've seen teams lose. I don't know
Yeah.
how much of it helps or not, the extra bye week, but we'll
Well,
see.
and I think specifically with the Ravens, a lot of people are pointing to 2019 when the Ravens got the 1 seed. They sat Lamar the last regular season game. He had the bye.
Hmm.
And then they looked, kind of shaky against Tennessee and lost that divisional round game. But the difference here is that that was Lamar's first year as a starter.
Yeah.
It was the second playoff game, but first
Hmm.
real one, I would
First real,
say. And
yeah.
that Tennessee, that Titans team they ran into was red hot.
They were nice.
Derrick Henry was,
Was at the
you
top of
know,
his game.
on another level.
Yeah.
They had just come off. They beat New England in New England. They were not afraid of anything.
Hmm.
That was a that was just a bad matchup for Baltimore too.
Yeah.
And this offense is a lot different than that one.
Oh
That was
yeah.
an offense where Tennessee was built to keep a lead, and that
Stop that.
Baltimore
Yeah.
offense was not built to come back.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
And
Was
who
it
was
bad? Was
this
it bad?
Kansas City backup just running down the field?
I mean, yeah, that was
Uh,
just a bad matchup
mhm.
for you guys. But
But yeah, so I don't take anything from that about
no,
Lamar
because
getting
what? I
rusty or
mean,
anything. No.
no. I mean, it's a whole different. I
Hmm.
mean, we can always look at this happened, that happened. Look at the similarities.
Hmm.
Man, Lamar is 3, 4 years more experience as a quarterback. I mean, just that in itself, a whole new
Exactly.
offensive coordinator, new players. The Ravens defense has been lights out. They weren't exactly
Hmm.
lights out that season. Like
Mm-mm, not at
it's
all.
a
No.
completely different new season. You can always someone's always gonna throw those parallels out there, but I mean that's why with 4 years or 4 years ago, completely
Hmm.
different thing.
No, yeah. The only similarities to me in that are the Ravens are once again the one seed, and then
Hmm.
Lamar is probably going to win your MVP award.
Yeah,
Um,
but completely different situation.
yeah, and that's it. Elsewhere though, yeah. Like I said, I do feel as a Ravens fan more confident in the team than I have in the past, which is scary as a Ravens fan. Um, but then again, I always say the post always comes up in my Facebook memories every year. But sometime in early December, there's a post that says from 2012, and it's like this might be my least favorite Ravens team ever. And that team went on to win the Super Bowl, so who knows?
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah, but so who knows? But mostly it's just because the teams, the way they've played against the better teams this year, their three losses were just really dumb. And of course, one of them is the
Yeah.
Cleveland team they'll play, but that was kind of more freaky stuff too.
Hmm.
Um, and then dumb loss to Indy, a dumb loss to Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
But yeah, you look at when they played Miami, what they did to them, what they did to San Fran, what they did to Detroit,
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
did to Seattle when Seattle was playing a lot better earlier in the year.
Hmm. I mean, this team going into the playoff,
Mhm.
I'll probably just jinx you guys. I would say the
Yeah,
front runner.
I was about to say, yeah. Now that we've said this, yes, they are indeed going to lose the divisional game to
Yeah,
like Pittsburgh or some annoying shit.
yeah.
On the other side, how do you feel about your Cowboys? Because I think they've been playing as good as any team in the league the past few weeks.
It just comes down to winning in January. Until we do it multiple times, I don't know. There's not a team that we can't beat, but
Hmm.
do we over? You just have to come out play our game. Can't overthink things. Can't
Hmm.
I think we worry too much. We overthink things. Just come out play football.
Yeah,
We'll be fine if we do that, but just our playoff history the last 20 years has been ugly. Been
yeah,
a lot
for
of
sure.
disappointing sadness. And the bad thing
Almost,
is
yeah.
none of most 90% of our losses, just some weird shit happens. It's never just a normal loss.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know.
yesterday I saw some of those this day in sports
Hmm.
memories, and one of them was the Romo snap botch
Hmm.
against Seattle,
Yeah.
which is it's weird. I was like, one, damn, that was what almost 15 something like that years ago now. It may
That
be
was
even more.
2004. Yeah, that was
Yeah, so almost
2004.
20 years ago now. Yeah, or
Yeah,
exactly 20
and
years ago. Damn.
it's still a it's still well talked about event.
I about to say
That's
I
a,
remember exactly where I was. I was in a Baltimore bar. I can't remember something some tavern type thing. We were in the back basement
mhm,
room where we always went with the pool tables
nice.
and the cheap Natty bow. And I remember playing pool and just like stopping to look up at that game and being like, "Oh wow, crazy."
Hmm.
But yeah, as it is, you guys are set to play Green Bay next week. I think
Should be fine.
should
Because you know our
be,
biggest
yeah.
thing is always Aaron Rodgers. Aaron's not there anymore. I
Mm,
mean, he
yeah,
killed us
and
so many times, but crazy. You know, we've had
mhm,
some crazy endings with them in the playoffs. Of course,
mm,
Dez catch no catch game. We had the one where we had the lead, and then you know a couple years ago where Aaron Rodgers went down the field with a minute left and won the game. So we've
mhm,
had our struggles with the Packers, but it seems to be more of an Aaron Rodgers thing. I mean, really, there's no reason why we shouldn't beat the Packers this coming up week, but we just have to play. If we play how we played for most of, you know, if we play how we played most of the season, we'll be fine. But we
mhm.
do weird stuff in the playoffs, and we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, and you set it up there, and it looks like so the 3-6 would be Detroit and the Rams, and then that 4-5 Bucks and Eagles. We would
Hmm.
think the Eagles would at least beat the Buccaneers,
But who
and
knows?
the Lions would probably beat the Rams, but also who knows? So,
I mean, the Rams have been playing pretty good, but
hmm
that game in Detroit, that stadium is gonna be rockets.
yeah, that's who. Detroit at full strength too. Yeah, that's
That stadium
But
is gonna be
anyway,
crazy
you
because
would
it has
think
been
that
so long since Detroit has won. The last time was is it still their last playoff win was against Dallas in the year that Washington won the Super Bowl in '91. Is that the last? I
um
think that's their last playoff win
I think so. Let's see.
in the
Detroit
division
Lion
round.
playoff history. Let's look this up. They did make it at least once when Stafford was there, right?
Yeah, they've been there. They've been there, but I don't think they've
Oh
won
yeah.
a playoff game since '91, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. 91 against the Cowboys.
Blew us out.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see a score here, but yeah,
It was ugly.
yeah, and so
I don't
yeah,
know why I still remember. Yeah.
that's crazy. 38-6. Yeah, there you go.
Hmm. I remember Scott. I think their quarterback was it Scott Mitchell was the quarterback.
That
Uh,
sounds right. Let's see. No, Eric Kramer.
Eric Kramer. That was it. That's right. Mitchell was later, but
Mm,
yeah, Eric Kramer. He destroyed us that day, and then went on the road the next week, and Washington destroyed them.
yeah. And of course, though, we all know the star of that team, the running back, Barry Sanders there.
Yeah,
But yeah, since then they have had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 playoff games, all losses. Last time they even made it was 2016, and they
has
lost
it
to
been
the
that long?
they lost to the
Lost to the
Seahawks in Seattle
Seahawks. Yeah.
in the wild card round.
Hmm.
Yep. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, I think the NFC is a much tighter. Kind of throw your hands up. Like, obviously, San Francisco is your favorite, probably, but
Yeah.
uh,
After
uh,
that, it's wide open. I
and
mean,
like I said, I think you guys have been playing as well as any team the past month or so.
yeah,
But like you said, it all comes down to just shaking that playoff history, and if Dak can keep
yeah.
playing at a high level and that defense does what that defense does, if Micah Parsons can uh, put his impact on games, and who knows?
Right. Should be fine, but you know, it just comes
Hmm
should be and will happen, as we know, been very different. But you know, yeah,
Yeah.
the NFC just has a lot of teams like I mean it wouldn't I mean Dallas. I would say right now San Francisco, Dallas,
hmm
Detroit. Um, obviously your the 1, 2, 3 seeds and the
hmm
strongest going into the playoffs. You know, if either three of those win the NFC, wouldn't shock me. Because you know they've been playing good football.
hmm Yeah, and
Just a
like you
matter
said, though,
of
you got Philly. You never know; they could recapture what makes them so good, and
what they had. Yeah,
they could tear through it. You mentioned LA. The Rams have been playing also really
really
well
good
the past
football.
few weeks. Really good.
Yeah,
And
I
Matt
just
Stafford and McVay. That's a combo. They've been there before, and
yeah they've
any
been
team that
there.
has Cooper Cup is you don't count them out.
No, And
And Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball.
right, you definitely don't count them out. But it's
Hmm.
just something about and that atmosphere in Detroit's gonna be something special.
Yeah, and then on the other side, I think the stories, can the good luck during the regular season keep up? Can Pittsburgh keep winning without a functional offense? Basically, can
Yeah.
Cleveland keep winning with dinosaur Joe Flacco back there? Um, can Miami kind of recapture what their early season, proficiency? Can Houston keep
Hmm.
their great season going? Can
Yeah.
Kansas City figure it out?
Yeah.
They, I think they just kicked a field goal to go ahead there, but
13
you
to
know,
12.
yeah, and playing with backups, they were locked into that
Yeah.
3 seed, so they have,
Right. They didn't care
I
who
was,
was playing today. And
speaking of old
but
man quarterbacks, Blaine Gabbert playing today.
man,
Um,
Blaine Gabbert, he's been
he- I feel like he was at Missouri when we were at Alabama.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's been a while. He's
uh
definitely
huh,
been in the league for quite some time.
uh huh. But yeah, it should be fun. This
Yeah,
is
2011, he was a 10th pick in 2011 to the
okay.
Jaguars.
So a little bit
It's
after
been
us,
some
but yeah.
time, couple years, but definitely he's what
Hmm.
13 years in.
Hmm. Um, and just the living the life as a backup quarterback,
Oh yeah.
pretty great. Um, we'll move on though. Real quick, let's see. Bama hoops started off their SEC play with a good win at Vanderbilt. Usually, a house of
Hmm.
horrors for us, but got shaky at
Been good
times.
as of late.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, three straight wins. Granted, it's Eastern Kentucky and Liberty were two of the teams.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the impressive part about yesterday's win is they won just kind of a rock fight. Really, uh, I don't want to call it nasty, but just kind of a sloggy game. Vanderbilt,
Yeah. It was
Vandy does what Vandy does, and they kind of uglied it up.
I lit up. Yeah. Definitely did that.
It looked for a second in the first half like we might blow them out, and then of course Vanderbilt closed it on a big run the first half.
Yeah.
Um,
That changed the momentum of the game. I mean, but
hmm
yeah, we had the potential. What was the last like 5 minutes of the first half? We didn't score. It was crazy.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, at one point Alabama was up. Let's say what was their biggest lead? I think it was they were up 33-15 with halfway
Hmm.
through the first half, and then only were up what, four to start the half,
Hmm. It was
six,
four to
something like
six.
that.
Yeah, 4 to 6 to go in. And
And then they
really,
they went through a similar stretch toward the end of the game. They were up
hmm
11 with about 3 minutes to go, and then Vandy closed it down to 4 or 5.
right.
Um, but that's the kind of that's SEC play. You got to win games like that.
Gotta win games like that for sure. It wasn't pretty. You would like us to close games better.
Hmm.
Probably shouldn't got as close as it did, but hey, it's a road win.
Hmm.
We're 1-0 in the SEC. It really doesn't matter so much how you win in conference. You just win games.
Hmm.
So we kind of I just take it as that.
Yeah, you just keep going. Now we're the number one offense
Yeah,
in the country. Mark
yeah.
Sears is the top scorer
Mark
in the
Scherz had an
SEC.
excellent, and he had a. I
Hmm.
mean, he carried us that second half there.
Absolutely.
He
Not
definitely
just
carried
scoring, but he
us.
had a. How many assists did he end up with yesterday? Because that was, to me, the even better part. Obviously, his scoring, is really important
Yeah,
to us, but um, he had a. Let's see, trying to find the score, but he had a good bit of assist as well yesterday.
it was
Uh,
21, 6 to
Only
13
three.
from
Okay,
three, and
and that's
then
a big thing. If the threes can start falling for this team, that's, I think,
for
when they can
sure.
go.
Yeah,
Um,
and then now we're in a streak where we have a couple of games I think we should win.
hmm
Some of them are tough, but the games we should win. What do we have coming up? We have South Carolina, who I
at
think
home,
their
yeah.
record is, but I think their record is better than what they really are. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
I don't think they really played whole bunch of teams. But they,
Hmm.
they're then going to Starkville on the 13th. That's maybe a tough. Yeah, going to Starkville's always been kind of weird,
Hmm.
but I think we should win that game. Um, then we have Mizzou
At home,
we,
another should
at
win. Yeah.
home. Yeah, so we go when we go to Knoxville on the 20th, and
Hmm.
then that's gonna be tough. But I would hope that at that point we're 4-0 in conference.
Yeah. Because then you turn right around and you have the
We
first
play
matchup with
Auburn.
Auburn in Tuscaloosa
Yeah,
later that week. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly.
I think you're
Tough
right. You
little.
really want to build up. You want to win
You
all
have
of
to
these
go
games
four and
coming
zero.
up.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You don't want to drop any of these because
Hmm.
that's a bigger thing. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, because you
because
got
we
two really tough stretches, and I think the start is at Tennessee, home for Auburn, home for
then
LSU
it
team that
lines
might
up.
be feisty or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of lines up a little bit, but then
Hmm.
in the mid of February and I mean
Hmm.
seven. Well, basically the month of February. I mean you have the return matchup with Auburn
Hmm.
down there. Then you have at LSU,
Hmm.
Texas A&M,
Hmm.
Florida,
Hmm.
Kentucky. Even though they
In
got blown out
Lexington.
yesterday,
Yeah.
Alex in Lexington, even though they got blown out yesterday, Ole
Hmm.
Miss at
Hmm.
and on the road, and then you close, and then you start March with Tennessee at home. Before
Hmm.
closing with Florida, till we play Florida twice. Interesting, till we play them
Hmm.
twice this year, and then the end of the season at home game with Arkansas. So
Yeah. Which is
February
always
is
a
gonna
tough one
be
for us.
February is definitely gonna be a tough month. So we need as
Hmm.
many wins as possible in January, because
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
that February is brutal. February and March are tough.
I mean, yeah. Um,
A lot of big games.
yeah. And then let's see. Moving to the NBA on the hardwood, Draymond Green reinstated this week. Um, I'm just trying to look at. Let's see. Chris Paul is going to be out maybe 4 to 6 weeks for the Warriors.
Hmm.
Really, they're. I
They're
think we mentioned
struggling.
last week. Yeah, they're struggling. The Lakers are struggling. The Suns are
Hmm.
struggling.
Yeah, the
Um,
Lakers, since they won that in-season tournament, things have not been pretty with the Lakers since
they
then.
have not at all. You're talking about teams. It's the youth movement. The T
It
Wolves are
really
the
is.
your number one seed. The Thunder,
T-Wolves, Thunder.
uh,
Yeah.
SGA is playing like a true MVP.
Oh my God. Yeah.
His 40-point game the other night. Woo. Um, and you got the Nuggets. They're right there. Joker
Beautiful
can turn it
guys.
on whenever he wants to. Hit that buzzer beater
Right.
the other night.
Surprising that the
Um,
Clippers are much better than what
mhm,
I didn't know how all that coming together was. The Clippers, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean they're 22-12 right now. Still a lot of
mhm,
season, but they're playing much better than what I thought this unit might be. Because it's one of those things. It's either feast or famine with them. Either they're going to be
mhm.
great and everything's going to gel and they're going to stay healthy, or it's going to implode. There's no in between with them. So we'll see how the second half of the season will treat them and how the bodies hold up. But so
Yeah.
far they've exceeded my expectations.
Hmm. And then we got our guys, the Pels and Mavericks, both sitting at 21-15 right there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we're getting to that good part of the NBA season now. We'll start
Oh
paying
yeah,
attention more. It'll be
yeah,
trade season. All those teams we
yeah.
mentioned, like the Lakers and Warriors, and the Suns, I'm sure they'll all make some moves.
Hmm.
Um,
Because right now the
oh,
Lakers are out the playoffs.
hmm.
The Lakers are out the playoffs. The Warriors are in the final play-in spot.
Hmm.
Phoenix
This,
sitting at the eighth seed. I mean,
hmm.
as much as they, wheeled and dealed and got their guys that they thought, man, they would hope to have been at this point of the year.
Hmm. And then you look at those even teams further down, like the Jazz are red hot right now.
Hmm.
The Grizzlies we mentioned last week, since Jaws come back, they're a different team. Do they make a late,
Hmm.
a second half run?
Yeah.
And then you got over in the East, It's kind of chalk. It's kind of what you expect. The Celtics are
Hmm.
indeed that team with the trades they made in
Yeah,
the offseason. The Bucks
Milwaukee's
are
right
still
there. They're
there.
Philly.
Yeah.
It's
Uh
your
huh.
usual suspects in the East.
Mhm.
It's your who you expect to be. Your top,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, pretty much the top eight is who you would think the top eight would be. I guess the biggest surprise is Orlando. I mean,
Mhm.
they're a young team, but I mean, hey, they're 5 games above 500 right now. They're playing pretty good ball. You
Mhm.
know, but I guess that's really the only somewhat of a shocker. But yeah, your top, yeah, I mean, the East is kind of just what you expect it to be right
Mhm.
now.
But yeah. I guess I don't think I have anything else on my notes. Anything else in the sports world you want to touch on?
Not, I would probably say a couple things just uh, that I've just the people that are so upset about NIL and transfer portal. You keep
Mhm.
seeing all this stuff about it's ruining it. Even writers, I mean, fans, I understand there's old fashioned people. So many writers is ruining the game. That just irks me.
Yeah.
Like, and then the other thing
Uh,
that irked me this week is Herb Streets ran about get rid of the bowl games other than the 12 because people don't care. That
Yeah,
irks me as well.
that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Really weird coming from him. Your employer owns like 20 bowl games, Kurt. They're
Yeah.
not getting rid of it. Because guess what?
Yeah.
People still tune in to watch. Like,
People still watch the bowl games.
yeah, and it's
Yes,
dumb.
it's not
And it,
as, of course, the games aren't as sexy if it's not in the playoff.
mm,
But you can't tell them kids that are playing in those games that doesn't matter at all.
and exactly, and that's what irks me as a former player. He should understand that it still means something. It's still fun trip for those
Oh, yeah.
guys. Like we said, I think in the past, at least let the teams leave their home state. South
Oh,
Alabama,
yeah.
don't make them play in the Mobile Bowl
Hmm.
game. Let them go
Yeah.
somewhere. And then two, again, why not move the New Year's Six games to week 0? Have
Hmm.
all these awesome matchups to start the year, hype them up,
Hmm.
teams at full strength, so you don't get like this Georgia Florida State bullshit we saw where
Exactly.
Florida State had so many opt outs.
Hmm.
And then
Exactly.
just let the playoffs be mostly at home, set the title game, and then all those other
Yep.
bowl games that aren't the playoffs. Uh, and maybe they don't mean something, quote unquote, in the grand scheme of things, but they still mean something to the players and fans of those smaller
Oh,
schools.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
two, the other thing that's bullshit about that is that the reason they don't mean anything is because you guys don't talk about them. ESPN
Hmm.
could easily make time to still talk about those smaller bowl games and hype them up, and they choose not to. So
Yeah, exactly. They
it's
choose. It's
yeah.
halftime of those games. They're talking about the playoffs. Like,
Hmm.
what do you think about? Seem like every they'd be like, oh, here's the highlights. Oh, but what do you think about the Michigan Alabama game? Like it was just
Hmm.
back to the playoff. And I understand, of course, that's where you crown your champion. Of course, that means the most. But man, but I just hate that, and this the NIL and the transfer portal is what's ruining college football, and that's far.
No,
In my mind, that's far from the things that are taken away from the sport. But
no.
that's
We
just me.
talked about it at the beginning before the season when we did the episode on realignment. That's what's ruining a sport. It's your
Yeah,
TV networks
it's
and
the
your
money grab.
university presidents. Yeah, exactly. It's these guys
The
that are.
money grab for the conferences and don't
Mhm.
care about anything other than the money. And if you're gonna be mad at anybody, be mad at those guys because they've had a
Mhm.
decision to. They could have changed everything. And then when it comes to the NIL, to me, it's all about. And I'll say this, and I've said it many times, many spots. If they had given these guys the opportunity to have sold some used game gear, sold their
Mhm.
autographs in the 90s or 2000s before then, these guys would probably be happy with that still.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they had every chance to. Chip Kelly said it best. They had every chance they could have banded all together as the FBS, then got a TV
Hmm.
deal as one entity,
Oh, yeah.
and
Because
they decided to be greedy. Yeah,
together, yeah. And everybody acting
but
like, oh, yeah,
yeah,
because
it's
it's all about,
bullshit to
yeah.
blame it on the kids. Yeah, it's bullshit to
Hmm.
blame it on the transfer portal when coaches can do that.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
coach can. he can take a job, coach one season, go to another job, coach one season, go,
Yeah, exactly.
without penalty. So why shouldn't players be able to do that?
Exactly. I mean, no one's mad when Lincoln Riley left OU.
Exactly.
No one's mad when
Yeah.
Brian
So
Kelly left to go to LSU, and they still had a chance to be in the playoff. I mean, they were still in playoff
mhm.
contention.
Yeah. So it's horseshit.
Oh, hey, yeah.
But yeah. So that said, what has been done up real good for you lately?
Overall, just New Year started out pretty well. And just the time of year in sports still excellent. The playoff didn't go as we would have hoped, but I mean, it should be having an excellent national title game. The NFL
Hmm.
playoffs always live up to the hype, so it'll be a great end of college football and then a great end of the NFL season before we get to those, sadly, to the off seasons. But I'm excited for it. How about you?
Yeah, kind of the same, I guess. Just good New Year. It's a great time of year for sports. Good time of start the new year fresh.
Hmm.
Um, I will say, I guess, something we didn't mention during the episode. My Braves made a big trade for Chris Sale. Although I guess that was before last week, so we might have talked about it last week actually.
I think you mentioned
Uh,
it for a second there,
yeah,
but yeah, that's huge. That is
but
a
yeah, no,
guy.
just
That's an arm you
yeah,
needed.
yeah, just it was a good holiday season.
Hmm.
Get back to the grind here. It's carnival season now, so for all
Nice.
the people who celebrate, New Orleans is about to be a mess with all the parades and stuff.
Oh
So
boy, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
One time down there for sure.
Hmm. But we thank y'all for listening. We'll be back next week. We'll talk probably lead off. Obviously, we'll talk national title game and we'll talk NFL playoffs. That'll be our big thing. Thank you as always for listening. Do subscribe and give us good ratings. Tell your friends about us. Tell your rich friends about us. And keep it done up real good out there yourselves. Check out all the great podcasts in the Alabama Take family. Definitely listen to, if you haven't, I think Mallory did a great podcast this week. She talked a little about NIL actually herself, and kind of similar to what we
Right.
just said about how let these players be, man. Let them, NIL transfer portal. She also had a good, not a good in the sense of heartwarming story, but just a good story from her perspective about an unfortunate encounter she had when she went to the Peach Bowl to cheer on her
Mm,
Rebels Ole Miss. So I just want to give our support. We'll give a hearty fuck you to that guy that she talked about. Um,
most
but
definitely.
yeah, it was a fun episode, or excuse me, a good episode, not a fun one. But like I said, go check out all of that, thealabamatake.com. And Greg, take it easy, buddy.
You too, buddy.